take a look at the first set of review questions for Aristotle, the beginning of Aristotle's Politics. Number one, why does Aristotle say that the political community aims at the highest good? Do you agree? Well, if you look at the beginning of the reading, for what it's worth, he does actually indicate, if I can find it, why he says that the political community aims at the highest good. Every state is a community of some kind, and every community is established with a view to some good for mankind. Always act in order to obtain that which they think good. But if all communities aim at some good, the state or political community, which is the highest of all, and which embraces all the rest, aims at a good in a higher degree or greater degree than any other, and at the highest good. Like everything in Aristotle, it's not always obvious why he says what he says when he says it. I mean, it's a very dense sort of thing. And he might be getting ahead of himself a little bit there. But he says that every community is established with a view to some good. And then he says, if all communities aim at some good, the state or political community, which is the highest of all and embraces all the rest, aims at a good in a greater degree. The reason I said he's getting ahead of himself a little bit is he's already indicating that the state or the political community is higher than other sorts of communities. That is, it says it embraces all the rest. So we can think of family as a community, or a neighborhood as a community, or, as he says later, a village. But the political community is the one which embraces them all. That is, which is the overarching community. So if all of those aim at some good, the family, the village, the neighborhood, then the state, which is higher than them in the sense of which it embraces them, right? Family is part of a neighborhood is part of a village, but a village is part of a political community or state. Then the state must aim at a good that's higher than any of those smaller, lesser communities. It's already sort of getting into some of the things that he says later when he's talking about the origin and growth of the political community, of the state. Number two, what is Aristotle's distinction between a king and a statesman? Also, we can look to the text here. He says here at the end of the second paragraph, when the government is personal, the ruler is a king. When, according to the rules of the political science, the citizens rule and are ruled in turn, then he is called a statesman. So the difference between a king and a statesman is actually very great. It really depends upon the kind of political community we're talking about. When the government is personal, you might say a monarchy is a personal government insofar as like a hereditary monarchy, say the Windsors in England or the United Kingdom, that in a certain respect, even though they're largely just symbolic now, that's like personal rule. But when, according to the rules of the political science, the citizens rule and are ruled in turn, that would be something like a republic, really, where it's not somebody's family or some idea of, you're the king because you're the son of the king, or you're the queen because you're the daughter of the queen, but rather political office is open to all citizens, and they rule and are ruled in turn. The way that somebody who's, let's say, a president, in a certain respect rules, but then when they leave office, they are ruled in turn. That is when the sovereignty is really with the people. Then he is called a statesman. So it really is a matter of whether the government is personal or whether it's impersonal in the sense that there's an office. Right, like presidency is an office, or senator is an office, and the person who fulfills that office is a statesman, as opposed to the personal rule of a king. Number three, when Aristotle says that man is a political animal, what do you think he means? Now, of course, that's a very famous thing that Aristotle says, that man, human beings, is a political animal. And from the face of it, from the surface of it, we may say, well, he likes to engage in politics, but that would really not capture it. If we look at the original context of this idea of the political animal, I'll find it. It's on page 3, second paragraph. Hence, it is evident that the state is a creation of nature, and that man is by nature a political animal. What he is saying, as I take it, is that human beings are by nature meant to, by nature, by their very nature, meant to live in political communities. They're not meant to necessarily run for office or be politicians or to even to engage in what we would broadly call politics, but rather that human beings are by nature meant to live in political communities, communities with some sort of official government and some sort of notion of justice and political power, etc. So human beings, and it's a very important idea in Aristotle, human beings are naturally, not artificially. And I think later when we read liberals like Hobbes and Locke and Rousseau, who don't believe that we are by nature meant to live in political communities. It's a decision that we make, and the state is artificial. But for Aristotle, clearly, as he says, the state is a creation of nature. And, we'll have to talk about what he means by that, or what he means by that. Human beings are meant by nature to live in political communities is really the root meaning of that. We are political animals insofar as we are animals that are meant to live in what the Greeks called the polis, the city, the political community. Number 4, Aristotle says that the state is a creation of nature. Why? Do you agree? Well, there's the question. If you look at what leads up to that claim on page 3, he basically gives you a natural history of the state. It was really a natural history of human communities. As he says at the beginning of part 2, he who thus considers things in their first growth and origin, whether a state or anything else, will obtain the clearest view of them. And then he starts with the relationship between male and female, the family, then the village, and then finally the full-blown state. And his idea is that they're all natural because they all evolve out of the first natural, what he considers to be the first natural relationship between man and woman, between male and female. And out of that natural relationship evolves the natural community of the household. And out of that natural community evolves the natural community of the village. And out of that, the natural community of the full-blown state, the polis, the political community. And that would be, let's say, classically, a political community would be one that has a constitution, that has a sovereign authority, that has a legislating authority of some sort, that has laws. So we modern people might see the state as artificial, a creation of human beings, a free creation of human beings, where Aristotle saw it as a natural thing because it evolved naturally out of human beings' natural behaviors. Finally, yes, what quote do you think best exemplifies the most important idea in this reading? So obviously that's going to be part of every reading review question set. Obviously, it's open-ended. What I'd like you to do is to think about the reading, think about what you consider to be the strongest and most prominent themes in that reading, and this will go for everything, and then just state what that quote is. It's important that you be thoughtful about it. There's no right or wrong answer. It's totally a free choice of your own, but in making videos, reviewing work, I will be looking for ones that I thought, okay, well, that was interesting. Why'd you choose that? Let's think about that. So obviously, that's completely up to you and open ended.